All right, because of our corrupt justice system. Now, it's hard to keep the Sabbath in a Sabbath-breaking world. Okay, it really is. I mean, our society is geared up for Sabbath breaking. Everything occurs on Saturday. Greatest shopping day. A lot of sporting events, okay? And so it's hard to keep the Sabbath in a Sabbath-breaking world, okay? If I tell my boss I want off from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, he'll fire me. You ever thought about the fact that you could get a better job? That the reason you could be fired is to find a better job, get a better job? Do you love your job? Or do you hate your job? Do you realize God is working behind the scenes, okay? Now, okay, this Sabbath thing, oh boy, if I tell my boss, okay, listen to me. Listen to me closely. You're coming to a point very quickly. We're already there. We're at your work business. If you don't wave the rainbow flag, you could get fired. If you don't join us, if you don't put that LGBT sticker on your forehead or on your coat or whatever, if you don't go along with us, you could be fired, okay? So don't think this Sabbath issue is a big issue. There are other nonsensical issues that are out there also. Okay. Now I want to go through some real live examples of trying to keep the Sabbath and what it takes to keep the Sabbath in a world that requires you to break the Sabbath or to keep it when your work requires you to keep the Sabbath. Now, number one, you're going to have to tell your boss, okay? You're just going to have to tell your boss. You're just going to have to say, boss man, look, I've come to a conviction that I shouldn't be working on Sabbath day, which is Saturday. And can you work this out for me? Okay, you're going to have to tell your boss. Now, in small companies, they may not tolerate that very well. But the point is, what kind of worker are you? If you are valuable to your company, they will want to hold on to you. I mean, just go through the average drive-through fast food place window, whatever. Why does it take now 15 minutes to get your food, whereas 10 years ago it only took 5 minutes to drive through the drive-through window and get your food? Okay, that's how poorly the work generation is today. They're not thinking. They don't give a rat's behind about whether they've got any responsibility. They don't care about you, okay? That's the point. They don't care about the customer, and that's why the service is so sorry. That's why it takes 15 minutes to drive through a fast food place to get your food, okay? Now, big companies, they're a little bit more aware of legal rights, religious freedom, okay, a little bit more aware, but it's not the first time they've been through this rodeo either, or someone coming up and saying, I can't work on Saturday. It's not the first time. One minister told me about going to his boss and saying, look, I'm not going to be working. He was an insurance salesman. He said, I'm not going to be working on the Sabbath anymore. And the boss said, the owner of the company said, well, if you're not going to be working, I'm not going to work. And they both started taking off on Saturday. That's a beautiful example. My personal example is, now I told you I've been self-employed for the biggest part of my life, but at one period of my life, I worked at Sales Knitting for 3 months, which was a factory. I had two great bosses, Abe and Judy. And I told them I didn't work on, Saturday, and they worked for 5 hours on Saturday, and they said, here's what we'll do. You work an hour overtime each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we'll let you off on Saturday. And so it worked out great. But there came a time when they were busy. And they said, and Abe said, now, David, you might have to come in on Saturday. And Judy, my other boss, took up for me. I didn't even ask. She said, well, he keeps the Sabbath. He can't come in on Saturday. So this was another way of God's deliverance, I didn't even have to say anything. My boss, Judy, stood up for me and said, he can't do that. And Abe just sort of shook his head and said, okay, all right, that's it. It's amazing how God can come through for you.
Check us out on the web at isthatreallyinthebible.com.